Cool. So we've got our agenda here. So let's just start at the top. So projects that you all are currently working on. Chris, you've got your environment management project. Sounds
Yes.
like you've got access to Respondent now.
Yeah, thank you for chatting with me yesterday, walking me through Respondent. I haven't used that before, so appreciate that walkthrough. Sounds like we have at least like 8 qualified and willing participants, and maybe even a few more that may be qualified as well. So and even just with you looking through like the different responses we got, like they seem like really good people to talk to. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, my goal is to we'll start scheduling now, but to do the interviews in the next, like, maybe let's call it like 2 weeks or so. And then we'll see what comes out of that research.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Anna, do you I could add you as optional for those interviews. We might have some time zone, but I also invite Victor from the configure group because this is a sort of a cross-stage. It could be a cross-stage project, and he's given me a lot of feedback and just on how to what we're like and how to approach this. So yeah, excited for those.
So yeah, please feel free to just to add me to the invites, and yeah, if I can attend, I will attend. But if not, it's also good for me to keep track of that, so I can remember to look at the notes and then just stay in the loop. So add me by default as optional. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, and thanks, Will, for sort of guiding me through this one. It's my first like from the start research project, so I appreciate the support.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. Next one's Hannah. Oh,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you basically said what I was going to say.
Right. And then the solution validation for the environments page redesign. So after I think like a week and a half, 2 weeks of complete silence from the people that I had initially invited to the interviews. So we'll came back with a list of, I don't know, I think 6 new people, maybe more. And I sent out the invitations and the email. So thank you so much, Will, for the help there, for being so super quick in providing that list of participants. I got so far 3 replies, and let's see, I have one tomorrow, on Monday, and next Wednesday. So that will total 4 people that will be speaking with about the environment page redesign. And kind of sidebar to that, the first interview, the first person I talked to, I felt like I didn't really get much information from them. They were a bit everywhere and wanting to talk about GitLab as a whole. So I often had to keep bringing them back to the questions and to the environment page. So when I look at the quality of the data, I'm not super confident with much of the feedback they gave, because it was so little that I could get from them about environments. But anyways, that was one person. And while I was interviewing them, I kind of I did not change, but I mentioned this to you last week, Will, that I included some questions, right, about let's see, I completely forgot the word. Feel free to finish my sentence, because today satisfaction in signal of ease questions. That's what I was looking for. So I included that those questions that were not initially in the screener, right? But anyways, that's that. And I have this interview tomorrow. If any of you want to participate, it's at 7 p.m. my time. So I'll just add it here. in case you want to join or might be available or curious about the upcoming ones. Yeah, that's that at the higher level. So Will, I think you're gonna write a comment here.
Yeah, I'll add it to the doc, but basically my question is like, or it's kind of more of a statement. It sounds like if you're not getting much out of that interview, you could just consider it like a lost cause or kind of like a pilot study or session, and then just recruit another person or two to kind of replace that individual, since you didn't get much out of them.
Yeah, that I think that sounds fair. I reached out to Reed, JR. What's the name of our technical account manager?
Yep.
Jamie. Yeah. So I reached out to him and actually see if he replied. Not yet, but I asked him to just schedule or get in touch with T-Mobile or the people that we talked to, right? From T-Mobile and Disney. I don't have their contacts directly, and I think it will make sense to get Jamie to reach out to them. And also I spoke with what's her name? The delivery manager. Amy, yeah. I think it could also be interesting to talk to her internal customers about that, kind of have a mix there.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's a good call out, Will. So I think I'll do that.
Cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Ayana, by the way, I have a standing, I should, for some reason I haven't added you yet. I have a standing meeting with Amy every 2 weeks. Next one's on Tuesday. I could add you if that would work. And if it doesn't, we could find them more time.
No, please. I'll love that. And if I cannot join, if it's outside my my work hours, I'll just drop some questions. They think, and if you record, I can follow up later.
Cool.
With the recording. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And then related to that, I'm coordinating with Matei. He's the product designer for our growth team, to understand how he can help with this particular effort, like if it's helping conducting some of these interviews or future research solution validation for release. So Matei, he reached out to me because he wants to help out with the other stage groups. He has the availability for that. So I'm talking to him to see if he has the time. If not for these interviews, then yeah, for other design work in release that we need to move forward with. And then Chris, we can talk about that in detail. I think we meet today again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still have to look at the backlog anyways and see how that will work out. But we might have Matei also leading some of the calls, the sessions.
That's good.
That's it for the solution validation. And then next up is what future research needs do you have? I added a job to be done for the environment management. That's part of the Q2 UX OKRs. The goal is to deliver the job to be done, either to validate the job to be done, do the research if we haven't done so yet, or revisit or improve the statement if we need to do that. I know that Daniel did quite some work related to the environment management jobs to be done since last quarter or the previous quarter. And but especially after what we discussed with the team just now, Chris, about the jobs to be done for environment management, but related to deployment approvals, and just thinking if there's an opportunity for us to look at that. And the goal, of course, of the OKR is to have the job statements done before the end of the quarter. But I think this is a good one for us to prioritize, in the coming milestones, and not the end of Q2, because since a lot of the work that we're doing now relates to environment management anyway, just having the well-defined job statements and the user stories will be really beneficial, I think, to how we are breaking down the problems. And anyways, just validating the maturity of this category, because I think it's scheduled to Q2 plan maturity now, right? So, yeah, Will, you have a comment?
Yeah, let's see. So on a kind of a related note, I know that it's different from like jobs to be done research, but I had previously told you all that, you know, the benchmarking study would be able to like overlap with existing like CM scorecard work. And after doing a little bit more digging, like talking with other members of my research team, they said there are some overlaps, but you still have to treat those as separate studies. So just because you do a benchmarking study doesn't, you know, like also include like a CM scorecard. So we'd still have to treat those as separate. And when it comes to the jobs to be done for environment management, I can add that to the planning issue. Do you have like an issue, like a formal issue for that? Okay.
Yeah, we have a template for that. I'll create an issue and then
Okay.
I'll link you to that.
Sounds good. Yeah, because Kevin is basically going through like tomorrow, like all the different projects that have been requested for ops and prioritizing them along with myself. So we've gotten like 4 or 5 different projects for ops that have been requested. So yeah, if you can get that to me like in the next day, that'd be great.
I'll do that.
Cool.
Thanks for the reminder, Will.
No worries. And then the next one, it looks like it's for both of you all. Not sure who created the.
I added this one, Hyana. I think you wanted to bring this up, maybe if I interpreted your statement correctly. Will, we just came out of our brainstorm session with the team. We were discussing, oh, sorry, I should have linked these. I'll link to the issues in a bit. We're discussing a specific issue where we're proposing to build to-dos for deployment approvals. So we built an MVC for deployment approvals where, you know, specific teams might be able or might need to specify an approval for a deployment. One of the next things we're thinking about is building notifications. The original proposal was to-dos, but the team had other thoughts and concerns related to that. We talked about and brainstormed different like alternative solutions. But then there were specific questions that came up then where we realized, well, we were not exactly sure from a user perspective what the answers are. So specifically, you know, one of the potential consequences if we build to-dos is maybe teams may get a lot of to-dos if there are a lot of deployments happening. You know, there's a concern that that might be too noisy for specific groups. We've heard that concern, similar concern for other stages and other features in GitLab. So, you know, we're potentially worried about that. I think another one is very specifically like if there are a lot of deployments that are happening, like let's say in the course of a day, teams might only want to do the latest one. And so how do we kind of build the solution, build notifications such that you know, we support that use case. So Hyana suggested we bring that up here. It's something that we might want to continue further. Yeah, Hyana, anything else to add from your perspective? Did I cover that?
Over everything. I added the last point that relates to that, right? That Shinya started a conversation about creating a view for deployment So we can concentrate all the information around deployment in one page, and then the release manager, the personas responsible, or the people involved in the deployment approval will go there, and then we will be able to expand that page. Also thinking that what we have today for environments, it's not very, what's the word for that? My goodness. Yeah, it's just difficult to expand on the interface and add more information to it, right? So we have been working on the usability of the view, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of the questions that I heard today with the team, because we were talking about technically how to solve this problem. I feel like, yeah, UX wise, I don't think, I think we could understand the problem better before breaking it down, you know, and deciding on a direction for it. Especially that, yeah, there are many ways that we can solve this problem. And I think was Ali, Chris, that mentioned about dog fooding, right? So understanding if we are at the GitLab were to use this feature, how would we do it, right? If and that's also the conversation you had with Emmy. So yeah, I think it relates to this environment management jobs to be done, right? It's kind of a sub job of that. So yeah, it's about understanding what is the problem, what is the V of the MVC for deployment approvals and notification. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a couple questions. Like I think, Hayani, you kind of answered my first question. Like, do you see this as more like problem validation work? Kind of understanding some of those key questions and how users actually like use the tool before like trying to solution too much for them?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I think so. And because we also talk about iteration, right? If we do, for example, to-dos and notifications, there was a conversation about the flow of how people are notified in merge requests and how we can, yeah, you know, we mock that behavior in the API for deployment approvals, but does that make sense, right? But I think, and then Chris, please share your thoughts. I think, yeah, it will be important to understand the problem rather before, yeah, defining one of the paths for solution, because I saw multiple different paths for a solution today when it comes to this problem. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I'm confident of the high level problem, which is just people need to know when to take action. I think I'm pretty confident in that. And then maybe there's just the specific details about who needs to be notified and when and how. I think that's maybe, and then maybe that bleeds into a little bit of like the solution, because yeah, so maybe a little bit more context around that, like yeah, a little bit more context might help us narrow the solution space a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess one of my related questions that I had underneath was, you know, Hayana, since you brought up that this is kind of connected to the jobs to be done for environment management, is there kind of an opportunity to do kind of two studies in one, in a sense, like around the jobs to be done and also some problem validation work at the same time? Or do you kind of see these as two very different studies?
I think, and that's my gut feeling, is that we could do, I think we could potentially do it together, but knowing that this will be a sub job, right, of environment management. And
Yeah.
then I think for what we want to do with the validation for the jobs to be done is the high level jobs for the category. And this is, yeah, it's like a child of that. So I think they go together, but maybe we could discuss further how that prioritization would happen, right? When we reflect that on the category job to be done. Does that make sense? Kind of.
Yeah, that makes sense. It does sound like it needs to be a separate thing. So I wonder if we need to even like put some sort of draft together so that we can prioritize these two things at the same time to say, okay, should we do a jobs to be done first, or should we solve this set of problems?
Awesome. Sounds good. I think that that makes sense to me.
Would anybody be open to kind of putting a bare bones draft together? Like a research issue? It doesn't necessarily have to be anything super filled out, but I think you all understand the underlying questions a little bit more than I do.
I'll create the environment management issue, and maybe
Okay.
Chris, because you have the technical and the questions for the what do you call deployment approvals. You can create that.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, and Chris, it doesn't have to be really filled out, just any bare bones information that you can provide that, and then to help Kevin just know how these should be prioritized.
What would that be? What kind of issue, Will, would that be for the
Like a problem validation
problem
issue. There's
validation?
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. I'll assign that to me.
Cool. Any other things on this particular topic before we move on? Okay. So the to-do item that I have is for the upcoming benchmarking study. I've had some conversations with some of the other researchers who have actually done some of these types of studies before, so I've been able to kind of pick their brain about how to do it and all the different steps involved. One of the things that came out of that conversation was like another researcher had like a job map already in place and a lot of great resources to kind of pull from when trying to determine like workflows and tasks. So there wasn't really a whole lot that he needed to do to get set up. But since we have some jobs to be done that have been validated through research and some that haven't necessarily been validated, I think it might be a good activity to just build like an async workshop just between the three of us to go through and kind of determine like what are the workflows that we want to focus on, what are the tasks within those workflows, and then I can really get started with recruiting and all the research heavy stuff. But we certainly want to be in alignment on like what we're wanting to tackle. So I'll basically create a mural and send you all some details about how to do that activity. We can do this async. But do you all have any questions at this time about it?
No, not for me. Sounds good.
No question. This will be the first time I also, yeah, we'll be looking into the benchmarking study at the GitLab. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to see, yeah, the process, but also to participate.
Yeah. Yeah, glad to have your participation in this. It's going to be really interesting to see what we get out of this whole process. So I'll share more details probably within the next week, but I'll mention you within the issue when that happens. And then
Sounds
provide
good.
plenty of instructions and everything, so you know how to get started, especially since we're doing this async.
Thanks.
And I think that's all that I had. Any other comments or questions?
No, just thanks for adding the three of us. I think this makes a lot of sense for us to stick together. We're doing some consolidating of meetings on the engineering side too. So this is great.
Thanks for organizing, Will. And then
Yeah.
maybe on that note, Chris, we're meeting, I think there's another two other meetings today. Maybe we can just do the one with Nicole.
Oh yeah, sure.
As our one. Yeah. But thanks, Will, for yeah, taking the lead and putting this together.
Yeah, no problem. I'll get this uploaded to YouTube and then post it to the release Slack channel.
Cool. All right.
All right.
See y'all later.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.